Greetings, friends! Throughout our homesteading journey, there's been a number of individuals, fellow homesteaders, that have inspired us, to motivate us to live a life more connected to the land, to the animals, to one another, and to recapture more of the skills that we were meant to have. And today, we're visiting with some of those homesteaders. What's up, homestead homies?
What's up? Hey, welcome to the homestead. My name's Doug.
And I'm Stacy.
And we live off-grid on 11 acres, and this is our log cabin, and we're gonna give you guys a full tour.
Awesome.
Right this way, my love.
Thank you.
Come on in, y'all. Now, there's not much to see because it's only a 600 square foot cabin. I built this cabin with wood from the forest that we had pulled out, and I had serviced through a sawmill. I did the notching, and then I put all the logs up myself. I'd never built anything like this before in my life, so you could do it too, because I wasn't even like a carpenter kind of friendly guy. So it's pretty simple. It's white oak logs. We cook with a wood cook stove. Stacy will be able to tell you guys about that.
Yeah, this is a Pioneer Princess wood cook stove. It heats our house, so it kind of is twofold, and I cook on it. So right now we are in the summer months. It gets too hot, so I'm not going to cook in here. So I put, whoops, it's a little dirty.
That's all right. That's all right. It's just a metal top, stainless steel top. And then in the summertime, we use it for storage, you know, counter.
And so, yeah, I just put like a little towel or Afghan over it, and then I can put things on top of it, and it works out great. It also has a water reservoir where I can get hot water in the winter months when we are cooking with it. And it's great. You know, I can go ahead and store things on top. Right now, I have a bunch of my ferments on top, fermenting. And it's wonderful. It's sort of like a centerpiece of our home. People come over and they love it, or especially like in the winter when it's cold and you come in, you can kind of stand in front of the fire because there's nothing like wood heat. It's just absolutely amazing compared to like the heater. It just feels so good, just like you're getting a nice warm hug.
Yeah, that nice little smell that it has and everything else. And this is our sink area. Now, we don't have any public utilities. We live off-grid, and we use rainwater exclusively. Okay, so this is a little spigot that I had to put together because with gravity-fed water, all the city appliances or appliances you can buy at the big box stores, they're geared for pressurized lines. So I had to actually concoct my own little spigot here so I could get the water to come out. It's all gravity fed from our big barn. We're going to take you up there and show you that. But as you can see, the water flows out, and we live off of that 100% rainwater.
So this, compared to the lifestyle that you used to live back in the city, how does this compare?
Compare? It's a total night and day difference.
You know what? It just the peacefulness, the sounds of nature. I mean, it's so wonderful because we can just go outside, and the only thing you don't hear of cars, you don't hear honking, you don't hear anything. You just hear, you know, our roosters, we hear our ducks, we hear our turkeys, you hear the birds. I mean, it's just so peaceful and wonderful. We love it out here. This is like our little piece of heaven.
One of the biggest differences is when you guys are in the city and you're living on grid, it's just a switch away, right? It's just a turn away, and it all comes out, and then you get the bill at the end of the month, right? So you got a lot of abundance, and you get a big bill, and it's no problem. You never put a thought into it. Where does that water come from? How are they treating that water? How is it delivered to the line? When you turn it on, how does that even work? We're so far removed from the processes, right? So when we got to this lifestyle, we have to be our own waterman, we have to be our own sewer guy, we have to be our own heat and electric. Everything we have to do, we do for ourselves. So we have a lot more skin in the game. And that's what keeps it fresh and exciting, and exercises our minds so we can stay sharp.
And we don't have a bill coming to our house that we have to pay.
That's right. We don't even have a mailbox out front. There is no bills to come to the mailbox.
That's awesome. That's freedom. That's a real way to live.
Yeah.
So, Stacy, with having to cook with wood opposed to just plugging something up and cooking, how has that adjustment been for you?
At first, I mean, it wasn't really too bad. I mean, I did burn a few things because you have to learn how to adjust your temperature in the heat box. But actually, it cooks. My oven box is very similar to an oven that you'd have, an electric oven or a gas oven. And I'm glad you're looking at it now, because it was dirty and I cleaned it a little while ago. So it looks pretty good. But Yeah, I mean, it cooks. I can bake bread. I can cook anything that you cook, you know, on a regular stove. And it's simple. It only took just a little bit of kind of a learning curve about the heat, how to adjust the heat, how to keep the heat with the wood in there. And it's like no big deal. It's very, very simple.
And we actually started off with a different stove than the one we have now. We actually started off with a Baker's Choice. And it has a little bit of different adjusting of the heat in the box. So that took a little more getting used to. But that actually prepared us for the new stove with this side temperature control. It's worked a lot better, and we picked up a larger oven box, so everything about this stove is a little bit better and it's a little bit easier to use.
So is the food just as good?
Well, another thing that I really like about it is, especially if you want to cook a bunch of things, I can use the whole top to cook on. The good thing about the wood box is where the food is that I put on top here, it would be more of a higher heat because it's closer to the, you know, the fire. And then over here, I would put something if I didn't, maybe I wanted to simmer or just maybe sit, especially if I'm making bone broth and it's going to go for like a whole day or so or 2 days, then I would go ahead and put it on this side and then it's perfect. So it's great. I sort of have like my own little crock pot going 24 hours a day. Yeah. And then here's the other bonus that I love so much is the top here is like a dehydrator. So I can dehydrate anything I want. All I have to do is put a tray on top of here and I have things dehydrated like in an instant. It's amazing.
And that's, of course, as we have the fire going on the box. Right now there is no fire, so we use extra shelves like she said earlier. So we lay our ferments out here. We can see how they're doing and stuff like that.
So the stove serves as a dual purpose for you in the cooler seasons. Mm-hmm. It cooks your food as well as warms your house in here.
Right. Everything that we try to buy for our homestead, and hopefully you guys are taking notes of this, we always try to get multiple use things, right? We never want to buy one thing for one purpose. We always try to find one thing that does multiple purposes, so that way we get the most bang for our buck.
So you cook here, and it looks like you have a dining room table over here.
Yeah, that's way over here.
Yeah, come on over. It's kind of far away.
All right, so this is our kitchen area where all the magic happens. I'm a guy that has to have breakfast in the morning before I can get out the door and start my homestead stuff. I take care of the animals real quick, the ones I'm responsible for. Stacy takes care of hers, and then I like to have my breakfast. I can't eat lunch before I have my breakfast, and this is where it all happens. This is actually a handmade table that we picked up from a place where we bought alpacas from. If you guys are ever followed our channel, Off Grid with Doug and Stacy, we actually had 20 alpacas out back.
I think even up to like 26 for a while. Yeah, we had a few.
And the folks that we got the alpacas from were in the middle of a move, and we were able to pick up this handmade table from them, and it's really cool. It's a Mexican cedar. Is that what it is?
Yes, Mexican cedar.
Yeah, and it was handmade, and it's worked out really nice for our place. So, and this here's handmade too. A little spindler from the Amish, handmade Amish thing. What we like to do definitely is employ people that we know that are in our neighborhood, and we like to deal with artisan people. Like this candelabra right here, we had an artisan make this for us. And because we live off grid, we don't have any lights or anything. We actually use oil lamps and candles. So.
And we love guineas here. I love guineas. They're like my absolute favorite.
Oh yeah.
And a friend of mine, they're native of Africa.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine had gone to Africa and brought me back this cool little thing with the little guineas on it. Isn't it cute?
That's pretty neat.
I like guineas too.
And you briefly mentioned the basket there being made from the Amish. And you have a whole Amish look going on there.
My
so
outfit.
What's that about?
All right, so if you guys are hearing me talk, I like to employ people that live around my neighborhood, okay? And when we got up here, I was already I had the beard going. I don't like the mustache. A lot of people don't know why I shave my lip. I just don't like the mustache. I don't like having it in my food. I don't like trimming it off my lip. I don't like the way it feels. And my wife doesn't like the way it kisses her. So I don't have a mustache only for that reason, no other reason whatsoever. Now the clothes I like because they're super universal. I can use them. They're agrarian style, lifestyle clothes. These are clothes that the pioneers wore. The Amish just simply didn't go to Walmart to get their clothes. They kept hand making them. So they passed the clothes down. It really are not Amish clothes. These are just clothes that the pioneers wore that they've maintained on their persons. So I employ local people, my neighbors, to make my clothes instead of going to Walmart and buying made in China or anything else. And that works good for me. I feel good about it. It allows her to stay home and take care of her family, and everyone wins off of it. And I'm past the stage, I don't care anymore about Levi's and Polos and Abercrombie and Izod and all that stuff that I used to be really hung up on. So now Einstein said if you have the same clothes, 3 shirts the same color and 3 pants the same color, you use a lot of brain energy trying to pick out your outfits. And I could use that energy on other things.
There we go.
And you know what else? The thing is, we also do a lot of bartering for his clothes.
Sure.
So I will go ahead and, help maybe some of the ladies sell their eggs, or I give them rides. We do things with seeds and plants, and so we barter a lot, and then that way, I'll supply them with the material, and then they sew the clothes up, and it doesn't cost me hardly anything.
Yeah,
so it works out really good.
Stacy doesn't even sew buttons.
I'm almost 40 and can't grow a beard yet. I don't know if it's happening, but what do you think? Should I get rid of the mustache?
Yeah. I mean, that's on you guys.
Yeah.
See, you don't like it either?
I want to see it. I want to see
You
it.
just want to see it?
I don't like it, but he won't do it anyway.
No, it might look good. You should try it.
I wish I could grow right here. It just doesn't.
He can't grow full beard.
It's just all right here, and
all
with a little bit of
strictly,
chops. Tell us about the living room over here.
I mean, there's not much to it. It's way over here.
Yeah.
Let me tone down this lighting for y'all. We got all this exclusive lighting up in our living room.
So
Ooh.
you
Let
can
her
make it
adjust.
romantic when you need to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pop that one over. Again, back to the Amish, we've had them made a couple of rockers for us. We have ones out on the front porch. We have this one here. This is just a little sitting area where we can hang out, spend some time together, entertain guests. And Stacy might want to tell you about her couch.
Yes, let's look at my couch right over here. So we raise our own animals here, and we, like to use our animals from tip to tail and use the whole animal. So we had a cow, a grass-fed cow, and I wanted to use the hide because the hide is just beautiful, isn't it? Look at this. And so we soft tanned it, and we thought it would be a beautiful addition to our home. We waited a really long time for it, and it finally got here, and we just love it. It's so soft, and it's real cozy when we sit down here. And we used our whole cow. We didn't waste one bit of it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead and sit down there. See how it feels.
I'm sure. I like it. Well, I like stuff that feels soft. So.
Oh, and so you know how they say it relaxes you to have a pet, and no, like a dog or a cat. I sit here and it totally makes your nervous system relax, and it's wonderful. I just love it.
Your pet couch.
Yeah, my pet couch.
I love it.
There you go.
So this is the main floor, and where do you guys sleep at?
In our horse and buggy. We sleep upstairs here. We have I put in a little ladder run. We have a loft because it's only 600 square feet, and we have our sleeping arrangements upstairs. I'll be glad to show you. A lot of people always ask us, what are you going to do when you get older? How are you going to climb up the stairs? You guys are more worried about it than us. I'm going to show you how we're going to go up it.
So welcome to our sleeping area. So we do sleep upstairs, and a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, it looks like it's so much room that it is. It's pretty, spacious, I think. So what we did is here's one of the baskets. It's Amish made again. I love it. It's our hamper where we keep our clothes, our dirty clothes. And then we had one of our local neighbors, Amish neighbors, make us these 2 cedar chests. Doug has the bigger one, and I have the smaller one. And this is where we put all of our...
Because my clothes are bigger.
Yeah. And that's why. So we have the cedar chest, and I really love them. It makes the room smell so good. As well as we have this cedar bed that I just love. And one of my favorite things about the cedar bed is this quilt. One of my Amish neighbors, I just love so much. I always wanted a patchwork quilt made of denim. So some of my classes that I was teaching, I teach senior classes, like exercise classes, and I had all of them start bringing me blue jeans. And so they were bringing me old blue jeans, and then I gave them to my Amish friend, and she went ahead and cut them all up and made them into this quilt. And then I went ahead and got a flannel sheet, and we put it on the back of it, and it's one of my prized possessions. I just love it, and it keeps us really warm in the winter months. So I use it on the end of the bed. So
Speaking of warm, a lot of people ask us how we can handle the heat up here because heat rises, and this is kind of a small space and with the sun beating right on the side of the building. So for the first like 7 years that we lived here, we didn't even have the interior of this finished. We had rafters, you could see, 16-on centers, right? Like you would see. And then we had the insulation in there, the board, batten insulation, okay? It's just like you would normally see. And I was trying to figure out how we were going to do the interior space. At the same time, though, I was noticing how the heat was transferring from the outside of the roof through those rafters and into this room. And this room would get unbearable. For the first several years that we lived here, this has only been finished for a couple. I mean, we would have to sleep outside. We would sleep in the outdoor kitchen. And would just get, if it was 100 degrees outside, it was 100 degrees up here, okay? Then I started doing some homework, and then my buddy Greg, who knows some information about this kind of stuff, we took out all the insulation, the fiberglass insulation, and then we put in foam insulation. We lined it with foil first, then we created an air gap. That's the trick. If you guys are going to build a space like this and you're going to have an upstairs loft, you have to have a way for that hot air not to transfer through and to escape, okay? So the hot air now has a channel that it can go up each one of these cavities instead of where the insulation was now. There's foam insulation, but we pulled it away from the ceiling, okay? So you have a gap back there. So the air is able to travel up into this cavity up here. This is where the vents are, the gable vents in each top of the roof. So the hot air now travels up and then escapes out of the gables. Now we can sleep up here in the summertime with just some battery operated fans, no problem. And then I finished all this off with some cedar. It's tongue and groove cedar, and it has a great smell and it has a nice look, and the bugs don't like it. That's what I like. All right, that wasn't too bad. That's not too steep.
Nope.
It's I kept it at a little bit of an angle, so that way we picked up a little more space to move around here. Some of the designs that I saw, I would have had to cut more into the room to pull that stair more at an angle here, and then I would have to put a platform here so we could turn and then make this into the room. With this design, I kept more room up in stairs, right? And I got a little more room right here. Like we have a bookshelf, and then we have a little desk area, and we also have our cuckoo clock because we don't have electricity. This is all gravity fed straight from Germany, so it really helps out a lot. Now this is our Berkey water system. Okay, we mentioned earlier that we have a gravity fed water system. This is an extra precaution that we've taken just recently, okay? This Berkey water filter can filter 99%, 99.9 of all bacteria and viruses and all this kind of stuff that are waterborne, okay? So we are now taking the water that's filtered and then we'll fill it up into here, and we're using this exclusively for our drinking water just because we've noticed a little more, you know, things that we need to be concerned about. Now what I'd like to show you guys here is our, that's kind of our back room. I wouldn't say it's a bathroom. I wouldn't say it's like a cabinet, you know, area. Stacy will go over a few things that she uses back here, but I'm just going to explain to you guys real quick about the composting toilet, okay? Because we live off grid. We don't have a septic system and we don't have any public utilities. So we use the composting toilet. One thing a lot of people don't understand is that composting toilets have been around for a long time. This is a perfect example to show you how long they've been around. This is a chamber pot, okay, which is basically the composting toilet back in the early 1900s that we were able to find. This was built back then, used for the same purpose, and now we're using it ourselves, okay? So basically it's a 5-gallon bucket system, and then we use sawdust to cover it up, and it's pretty environmentally friendly, I will say. Because what happens is once we use this toilet and we fill it up, we take those buckets and we put them into a compost center. It composts for 1 year, and then after the second year of it sitting, we're able to use that on our garden, on decorative trees, around our apple trees, around anything we want around the homestead to add fertilization and natural compost. Because everything likes the natural stuff. Stay away from the chemicals.
That's right.
Yeah.
And over here in the corner is probably one of my favorite things, and guess who made it? The Amish did, and it's a custom cabinet because Doug and I wanted to optimize our space the best that we could in here. So we thought putting a corner cabinet, it wouldn't be so big and bulky. So we went ahead and gave our Amish friend the dimensions, and he came up with this beautiful cedar cabinet with the 2 doors. And then that way I can store a lot of my things just like you would have a pantry in your house. So this is my little pantry. So it really helps to kind of save space, and I can put things in there. And it's very spacious.
I must admit, with all the Amish furniture, it's well built. I'm jealous because it is hard to find quality furniture, period.
I will also say, if you can find Amish carpenters to build your furniture, they're very reasonably priced for being handmade, I guess I would say. That wasn't much more than we could have bought a cabinet maybe at IKEA or something. And I hired my local guy to do it.
Yep. And then I also use this room in here where I hang a lot of my herbs. So if I have quite a few herbs in here. So this has just been kind of good. I do that. There's some yarrow and some catnip and some mint and what else? And some oregano, I think, in here hanging right now. So I just hang a lot of my herbs. But pretty soon we're going to organize this a little bit better. I kind of call it our multi-purpose room. It has lots of purposes, and it'll probably be more purposes next month or next year.
So stay tuned, because you never know what's going to be going on. That's one thing. Everything is ever flowing on the homestead. It's not just set it and forget it like that. You're always making improvements. You're always fine-tuning everything, and then you get really to a point where you can operate smooth.
And with a house like this, considered a tiny house, you're doing what you can to conserve space everywhere.
Sure.
And to maximize the use of every single inch that you have here.
Right.
And this is more like houses used to be built back in the day.
And if you notice, one of the smallest rooms in the whole house, which they're all pretty small, was the bedroom. That's pretty much the place where you're just going to lay down and sleep, get up, and then hit it. Because you got to get outside, you got to get those chores done, you got to run that homestead. Don't make a big bedroom. You won't get your chores done. We're going to take you guys out now and show you our outdoor kitchen. All right.
Sunflower.
Alrighty.
So this is basically an outdoor kitchen, okay? In the pioneer days, everyone had an outdoor kitchen. That's where they processed their food, they kept the heat out of the house. You can't really run a wood cook stove when it's 100 degrees outside. Here's a tip for you. If you are gonna run a wood cook stove in the summertime, it's a good idea because it'll take the humidity out of the air. One of the problems that we have with living off grid is maintaining the house, not getting mold and getting too, funky with the musty smells
because
and
you
stuff.
can get the mold on the cabinets.
Yeah.
It does. I was like, what is this?
Right.
Because we're so used to before
Air
having air
conditioning.
conditioning and all that. So there's all these different things that you kind of went through, and I was like, whoa. And I would open the cabinets, the insides would have a little bit mold, and the outside of the cabinets would have a little bit mold.
Yeah.
So it definitely does help.
So what you do is you don't want to get a full fire going in there. You just put a little piece of wood in there and you just let it kind of do its thing. You don't want to get it roaring. It's just kind of tinkering away in there, and that'll be just enough to snatch the humidity out of the air, okay? So I built the outdoor kitchen so when we process all of our garden produce, we have a nice spot to do it where we won't get heated up, and we have lots of space because you guys saw how big our kitchen was in the house, right? So inside of here we have some cabinets. We have a nice table for when we have guests over.
Yes, and I have multiple ways of cooking. I have a Camp Chef oven that I can bake bread or cookies, things like that. I also have a 3-burner propane stove. I even have a propane refrigerator that we just got probably within the past year, right?
That's our first ice that we have in our drinks on the homestead
yes,
in 10
in the
years.
summer. It's been really wonderful. And then we have a gas grill. As well as we also have a cowboy grill outside that I could cook on fire if I need to. So we have multiple ways. And then my favorite way is we have an all-American sun oven that I use the sun in and then I could cook with too. So we have lots of ways that we can cook, depending on our needs for the day.
Now I know you guys were looking in that back room and you were like, okay, I see the composting toilet, but are these people just funky? Don't they ever take a shower or something? So I'm gonna take you guys over right now and show you our outdoor shower. All right, so I built this shower a little bit ago. It's all gravity fed. It's 500 gallons of rainwater. That's why my beard is so beautiful. That's rainwater. See, Mike don't have that rainwater in his house, so he might switch over. You might see that beard growing on him a little better. But all this stuff is super easy to do, right? Gravity fed stuff is all about getting the tanks up in the air. It's 500 gallons, and I put this tarp on it because I didn't want to paint the tanks. If you paint your white tanks, the paint comes off and the water inside the tank gets super hot, okay? It does get warm with this on here, but it's allowed to breathe, so it doesn't really suck in the heat like it did with the paint, okay? I have a ball valve right here so I can just fill up a bucket, maybe give this turkey some water or whatever we're gonna do. We also use it for cleaning the composting toilet area right now. And then right here is where you take your shower. Now, again, just like inside the house, I had to construct my own setup because nothing you can get will allow gravity fed to flow through it. But as you can see, I have a pretty powerful little shower going on right there. 500 gallons, and my head pressure is really close. That's why it comes out really good. We do have a filter on this water, just to kind of take out some of the sediment for when we take our shower. But other than that, this is it. This is our whole summer shower. We can only use this in the summer, and we have a winter shower that I'm putting together now that we'll show you here in a second. But we thought you guys would like to see our shower setup. And it's nice, you're out here under the stars, the sun's shining. Stacy put bushes here that'll eventually grow big enough for people who maybe can't see us, but nobody can see us because we're out in the middle of almost nowhere. But it's just a nice little space, and it's worked out really good. Oh, also, this is the back of our outdoor kitchen that we were just talking about, and I'll be able to plumb this in so she'll have water at her sink inside one day. Man, look at that sunflower. That's all down. Loaded up.
So how tall do you think that sunflower is right there?
Shoot, I'm 6'5", and with an arm here, I'm probably close to 10 feet. So that's got to be a good 12 to 13.
That
Think
one's
it's
up
that
there.
big? Because I know they can get up to 15 feet tall, these sunflowers.
Yeah, we'll show them the garden.
Yeah, come on, this is my garden where I grow about 90% of our food that we have here that we store and eat during the winter months. But I can't really show it to you right now because stay tuned, Mike and Lacie have a full tour of our garden a little bit later.
So make sure you hit that subscribe button, get all notifications, so when they upload that video, you guys will be able to go on this tour so you can see all this abundance inside of here. I will tell you that they probably didn't talk about it because that's my area. We have a 500-gallon tank in there that we also collect rainwater off of our greenhouse. So all of our garden is watered with the best water you could put on your food, rainwater. Well, we're gonna take you guys up right now and show you the 3,000-gallon water storage tanks that we have for our rainwater.
Wait, before that, you got some animals that you guys are raising here. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we keep a variety of the chickens. We have some turkeys. We have a breeding pair. We have our food turkeys. We have our sheep. We have our food sheep. You know, we have a lot of systems in place so we can provide 90% of our food. And also we have elderberries all around our chicken houses. Elderberries are a great medicine for you and your chickens. It's the funniest thing you'll ever see is if you put this around your chicken coop, they'll be jumping up and picking these elderberries off. And it's the craziest thing to watch as they jump up and snatch those berries off of there. We have a lot of fun with it. We hatch them out here. We also have broody hens. We also use incubators at Stacy's schools that she teaches at. So we always have a good flow of birds that we don't pay for.
And they're raising one of the best of all, my favorite, ducks, Indian runners.
The Indian runners are so fun. The way they waddle and run and stick together, I love it. Let's go check out up the water. All right, this is a building that we have. It's about 70 feet long and 30, 40 feet wide. I don't know the exact measurements. I know them, but I don't retain them in my mind because it's not that important. But I'm gonna take you over here and show you what we got. I also use a horse and buggy. So I don't just get around by our vehicle, and just in case gas isn't available or rubber for our tires isn't available, I always have a way to get around to visit our neighbors with the buggies.
So not only do you have the Amish attire going on, you definitely have the Amish buggies going here too. That's pretty neat.
I've basically been told I'm more Amish than some Amish, all right? And I was told that by Amish people, all right? But when we got here, my whole thing was, off-grid, providing for my wife. I started thinking about scenarios, and look what's going on right now, okay? Look how fast everything's happening. So when we first got out here, that was my focus. How can I go see my neighbors if something were to happen, if I couldn't get gas, if I couldn't get tires and oil changes, plus the expense of all that, right? Tires, oil changes, insurance, taxes. So I ditched, we had 2 cars, and I ditched a car so we could save that money, and then I was riding the horse and buggy everywhere to visit all my neighbors, to build relationships with them, and I really actually enjoy using the horse and buggy. And we also have a saddle horse, Smokey and Sadie.
I hope you guys are paying close attention. He's dropping a number of tips in here that you guys need to keep in mind.
All right, so when we got this barn in this space, this room wasn't here. This was just an open barn, no concrete floor. It took us 10 years to actually get this building in line to how we want to use it on our homestead, okay? One thing you guys have to remember as you're starting out in your journey is this stuff doesn't happen overnight. You know, you might see us at this particular point where we are now, but you have to remember it took us years to get here. So when you guys are out there, you're doing your thing and you're starting off, don't think it's all gonna happen really fast or you'll get frustrated and you wanna quit. So just stick in there, slow and steady wins the race. I mean, I just put this wall up right here because old Smokey was hanging out in his building and kicking up the dust in here, and it was causing all my tools to get dusty, so I put that building in. Now, this is a standard bred horse with a little bit of Morgan in him. Okay, that's why he's so big. And he is a good boy, all right? This building right here, though, I built is holding my two 1,500-gallon tanks. Come here now. He's eating a little clover out in the field. When the horses eat the clover, they get a little bit of a water mouth there. It doesn't hurt him or anything. You don't want him to have too much, but right now that seems to be his fodder of choice. I built this room actually with all recycled materials. A neighbor had a tin laying around that he wasn't using, so I was asking him about the tin. He actually just let me have it. I had some scraps laying around, some wood. I built this room here. You can see right here, I actually had to raise up the floor, okay? I put two 2x6s in, see that? And I raised that up a foot. When I raised this up a foot, it put the bottom of my tanks level with my sink down at my log cabin. Isn't that something? So you guys are way up here you walked up here with us. We're way up here, but this is the level, this is how high my sinks are in my house. There's about an 8-foot fall from this barn to the log cabin, okay? Now, the higher you get your gravity-fed stuff, the better water pressure you're gonna get. So that's why I had to raise it up just a little bit more, so that way as the tank's empty on gravity, the lower the line is for level, the more water you'll be able to get out of those tanks, if that makes sense.
Genius.
Now, when I first built the room, I didn't have it spray foam, so we were struggling a couple years to actually keep the tanks from freezing. We live in a 4 seasons climate where it can get awful cold, maybe down to even below zero for several days in a row. Sometimes we get like 10 degrees below zero several days in a row. So we were having problems with not the whole tank freezing because it's a lot of mass, but we get the outside, and then if the ball valves freeze on these tanks or your IBC totes, if you guys are collecting rainwater, it's gonna be game over because you won't be able to use them. They'll bust open and all your water will just come right out, okay? So what we did is we had it spray foamed insulated. So this is some open cell foam because it was cheaper, right? I wasn't interested in getting the more expensive stuff because I don't really need to keep it that super duty warm in here. And they sprayed the roof, the walls, all over, and it's worked like a dream. I can actually heat this room now with a candle, so it really is working out good. It's two 1,500-gallon tanks, and that's our first flush diverter. A first flush diverter means that it cleans the roof, okay? The first inch of rain gets captured in this cylinder, and then all the rain after that goes into the big tank. So that's the dirty water from the dirty roof, and then after about an inch of rain, it's calculated to be a clean roof, and now that clean water will go into these tanks, and that's gravity fed all the way down to the house.
Is there a filter that needs to be changed out every so often in there, or how does that work?
Yeah, on the first flush, there's no filter on it, okay? This is the tank closest to the house, so this is where the water exits. On this other side here that I can't really show you guys, I'd have to climb over all this stuff, and Mike doesn't want to do it. There is a sediment filter, so to speak, on the way out, and another one, and then it goes into the line, and then underneath the house we have 3 filters, and then like I was explaining to you earlier, we're now using the Berkey system as well. Even this door was recycled. I got this off of a post office that they closed, and I took this door and brought it back here so we can have a door on our barn here. Ha! You guys be amazed what you can find for free out there.
It even has operating hours on it.
Yeah, everything was perfect, and it's a metal door. It's awesome. All right, I'm gonna show you guys our latest project. This is what we call the Learning Center. We're in the process of building a place where people can come and learn how to live this lifestyle, okay? You guys just noticed outside we have some solar panels. We're about to hook up solar power after 10 years with no power at all. We basically use a small generator, power on demand when we need it. And we found over 10 years of living here without electricity, we don't need a lot of electricity. So it's actually worked really good for us. But we are about to hook up some solar power. So if you guys are checking out our channel, that'll be coming up pretty soon. And we'd like to walk you guys through that and maybe could give you some information as well. We built this building, like I said, for the learning center. It's also a multi-purpose room where I have a little office. And then also underneath this floor, which no one's ever seen, is the Root Cellar. And we're actually on Mike's channel today and Lacey's channel. We're gonna show you guys the Root Cellar. All right, never seen before on YouTube. Stay tuned for our full tour coming up. It's a little bit rough. I got a little more work to do. Bringing you in. You can already feel the temperature getting colder.
Oh yeah, feels a lot better in here. Ooh, feels good.
All right, this is our root cellar, okay? Now my big ingenious idea was to use ICF, insulated concrete forms, okay? See the styrofoam everywhere? It's basically a wall of styrofoam on each side, dirt side, interior space side, with concrete in the middle, okay? A lot of basements, or all basements, the concrete is porous, so the heat and the water transfer through the concrete, okay? With this ICF, this foam insulation, I get no transfer. So it keeps this room very steady with the temperature, okay? I'm gonna give you guys a few tips on what I think I did wrong, or some things I'm gonna improve on. Maybe I didn't do them wrong, but I've just noticed a few things. When I was doing all my research about root cellars, I found out that they like it humid inside of there, okay? It helps keep the produce longer. But they never really talk about how much humidity in an aspect. They tell you what percentages are good, right? But how to deliver that humidity. Some say have a bucket, a lot say to have a dirt floor. So we went with the dirt floor. I put some gravel down so we can walk on it. But it's too much humidity is what we're finding out, okay? First, we had a lot of problems with water getting inside the basement. You know, we don't have a pump or, you know, anything like that. There's no concrete floor. So I actually had to put in a sub pump because we were really having some issues with it. We've had a really wet fall, you know, and then spring and now summer even. We just had 7 inches of rain in the last week. So I was able to install this pit that's run off of a battery, okay? It runs off of this battery. The sub pump pit's right there, and I lined it up. It pumps the water out, and then it goes out of my gray water for my shower that I'll show you guys upstairs here in a little bit. This system charges up by itself. When I run the generator, or as soon as we hook up the solar power, it'll be constantly charging, and it operates all by itself. There's a float valve on there. Whenever the water comes in, it just pumps it right out. So this right here has been a game changer for our setup. Now the other thing I think I need to do is put a little more concrete down here. I'd like to put some concrete under the wood steps because the wood is getting wet and that might be causing me some problems. And I also would like to have a better area to walk on and to put the cabinets on, the shelving on. So what I think I'm gonna do is leave this part of it kind of open for the dirt floor aspect. And I think there's enough humidity provided by that sub pump pit that I think we'll be fine, okay? So basically this is our food stores. We have all of our ferments that Stacy's been working on. Actually, many of these ferments are from last year. Ferments last 6 months to a year easy, okay? So these are ferments that we did last year, some salsa that she canned, some stuff that we buy from the store. Here's some syrup. You know, we like to keep stocked up on our extra virgin olive oil and all that stuff. We haven't been to the stores hardly ever since that thing's been going on. So we just keep some things here that we might need on the fly. My son got us some MREs. I haven't touched these yet. Maybe one day I'll open one up just for fun, but it's just some emergency food store just in case. And we didn't want to just throw them away, so we just kept a hold of them. The other thing that I noticed too is I think too much cold air is escaping out of here, okay? Look over here. See how I have an open staircase, okay? I don't want to put a door in here because it creates another thing to open and maneuver around. So what I'm going to do here is build a wall and then that'll just narrow this opening to just right here where we're coming in and out. I feel like I'm losing too much of my cold air because of this great big space. So I just want to bring that down to right here, so that's just this area right here. I think that's going to make a big difference. So hopefully you guys enjoyed our little root cellar here. We're going to get it packed in with a lot more food, so stay tuned for that. Stacy's been hard in the garden, which you guys are going to see that tour coming up pretty soon. Fermenting and preserving our food. And the reason why we ferment, I don't know if Stacy talked about it, or if you know, it provides gut health for us. If you guys can your food, you're killing all the enzymes in all your living food, right? And then when you eat it, after a while, it's just kind of like filler. It makes you feel full, but you're not getting all that good gut health and all that vital energy and stuff from your food. When you ferment the food, you keep it alive, so you're eating live food, and then that's really good for your gut health. Oh, and this is the water system. Remember I told you about the 3,000 gallon gravity fed water. I plumbed in a pipe right here, and my shower, our hot water shower for summertime, remember that cold water shower for summertime? This is our hot water shower for wintertime. I have yet to finish hooking it up. We're gonna get this all finished up. I'm gonna plumb this in, the water will be coming up, and I'm gonna take you up right now and show you our hot water tank that's run wood fired, and that'll provide us hot water for the shower. Man, we're giving you guys the full-blown tour today. Shoot, I don't even think I've done this on my channel yet.
Never before seen footage. It's always good.
Now this is our hot water heater, okay? This is kind of crazy. You've never seen anything like this. It's an Amish-made hot water heater. And this is basically a cylinder. And inside here is a hot box, right? So you're gonna start your fire in here. I haven't hooked it up yet. You'll start your fire in here. And then the water is all around this tube. And then that's what heats the water, and then it gravity feeds right into here. This is my shower. This is our winter shower. So we'll have a hot water shower here in the wintertime. We're actually big proponents of cold showers. So we don't really take hot showers. They'll be just kind of lukewarm, you know, just take the bite out of the water in the wintertime. But it's pretty simple. It's all gravity fed, and stay tuned because I am still trying to figure out how I'm gonna do all this shower stuff in here. So that'll be fun stuff. And you know, a lot of this stuff is on the fly. You've never done it before. There's not much information out there, so you're just doing the best you can with what you have. And I haven't had a problem with it working out yet. All right, what a great tour. I just can't get this sunflower out of my mind, so I want to see how tall it is. Tell you, come on. Leave a comment down below. What do you think?
And it drooped its head. You need to push its head up a little bit more.
That is a 10-footer, and if the head was straight, it'd probably be 10'6". Man.
So we were wrong earlier.
That's all right, that's all right. It looks bigger than it is. It's on TV, that's why. Right on. So hopefully you guys enjoyed our video about touring our homestead, and maybe you got some ideas if you're thinking about the lifestyle, right?
Yeah. Thanks.
If you guys haven't hit the subscribe button here, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can see that garden tour. That's why we ended up right here, so we can be like, don't you want to see it?
Yep, so make sure you check it out. And Doug and Stacy, thank you guys so much for bringing us along on your tour of your house, your homestead. You guys are doing some amazing things. You guys always encourage us, and I'm sure there's so many out there of you who also are encouraged by the things that you do. And for those of you who don't know, they have a YouTube channel as well. So make sure you click on their subscribe button as well as their notification, Off Grid with Doug and Stacy.
That's
Thank
right.
you guys again.
And thanks a lot for coming out to the Homesteading Live Conference, Mike. We really appreciate the information you provide. And we love seeing you guys.
Yeah,
Big group hug. All right, that's right. Bring it in, bring it in. All right, you guys have a great day. Don't miss a single episode.